Government corruption has never been more prevalent or caused more harm. It's why extremism is on the rise. It's why the financial gap between the haves and have-nots has never been wider. And it's why our planet is at risk of an extinction level tragedy. That's why I need your help to keep exposing the truth about the rot on both sides of the aisle. Become a supporter or a friend of the show today by clicking on the coffee link in the description box below. Friends of the show join me on a Zoom hangout once a month, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, and I can get to know you better. But the most important reason to help is to keep the show alive. Together, we can and will save our country and our planet. Thanks in advance and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. I have an update to share about one of Trump's Capitol insurrectionists. It's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So 48-year-old New Mexico resident Couy Griffin is one that you're going to remember. Griffin is the founder of Cowboys for Trump, and he's a New Mexico County commissioner who once said, quote, "The only good Democrat is a dead Democrat." On January 6th, Griffin posted a video on Facebook in which he said that he, quote, "climbed up on the top of the Capitol building and had a first row seat." Then he went on to say, quote, "You want to say that was a mob? You want to say that was violence? No, sir. No, ma'am. No, we could have a Second Amendment rally on those same steps that we had that rally yesterday, and if we do, then it's going to be a sad day because there's going to be blood running out of that building. But at the end of the day, you mark my word, we will plant our flag on the desk of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Donald J. Trump if it boils down to it." In another video, Griffin said, quote, "It is a great day for America. The people are showing that they've had enough. People are ready for fair and legal elections, or this is what you are going to get. You're going to get more of this." Griffin was later interviewed by Inside Edition, and in that video segment, he said, quote, "We are not going anywhere. We are not going to take no for an answer. We are not going to get our elections stolen from us from China." And when the reporter asked about his comment about blood running out of the Capitol and whether or not he was concerned that people might end up dead, Griffin said, quote, "I am more afraid of losing my freedom than anything." And then he later told the reporter, quote, "We are not going to allow it. There will never be a Biden presidency." On January 11th of last year, the FBI interviewed Griffin, and he admitted that he was in D.C. to protest the election results. He also said that he expected the protest to be peaceful and that for the most part it was. And Griffin claimed that he got, quote, "caught up in the crowd as they were pushing through the barriers." He also told the FBI agents that he planned to return to D.C. for Biden's inauguration, and he hoped Biden could be removed from office, quote, "without a single shot being fired." However, Griffin told them that there was, quote, "no option that's off the table for the sake of freedom." And then even after his visit from the FBI, he remained defiant. He expressed absolutely no remorse. In fact, at a January 14th Otero County Council meeting, Griffin told the other members about his January exploits, and he stated, quote, "There was some fencing up and they were saying that you could not go any further because this was being reserved for Joe Biden and his inauguration. Well, you tell a million Trump supporters that pretty soon that crowd just pushed through. I wasn't anywhere in the front of it. I was in the back." Well, after filling them in a little bit more, that Griffin then told them that he was headed back to DC with weapons. He told his fellow council members, quote, "I am going to leave either tonight or tomorrow. I've got a .357 Henry big boy rifle. That I got in the trunk of my car. I've got a .357 single action revolver. That I will have underneath the front seat on my right side. And I will embrace my Second Amendment. I will keep my right to bear arms. My vehicle is an extension of my home in regard to the Constitution law. And I have a right to have those firearms in my car." So Griffin was arrested on January 17th, and he was charged with only 2 misdemeanors: entering a restricted building or grounds and disorderly conduct in restricted building or grounds. So this guy is running around making thinly veiled death threats, and that's all they charge him with. So Griffin obviously must have felt emboldened, and he refused to take a plea deal. He opted instead for a bench trial. Unfortunately, this nutcase got Trevor McFadden, and he conducted the bench trial. He found Griffin guilty on only 1 count, the entering a restricted building or grounds count. However, that 1 misdemeanor meant that he could have landed in jail for up to a year. And both the prosecutor and the probation department requested 90 days. At the sentencing hearing, though, Griffin told the judge, quote, "I have huge respect for law enforcement. I am a respecter of the system." Then Griffin went on to say that he was a pastor before entering politics and, quote, "I lived a life devoted to the Lord. On January 6th, my actions were taken as the result of my faith." And he claimed that he simply went to the Capitol to pray with people. Really? Really? This is the pastor talking about taking guns to the Capitol and blood running out of the building. Yeah. Yeah. And people wonder why I refuse to go to church. So the judge called Griffin out for statements that he made after his conviction. And he said that he felt that they were at odds with his so-called remorse in court. Apparently, Griffin went on a bit of a media blitz after his conviction, and he was insinuating on video that Judge McFadden didn't write his own ruling in Griffin's case. He said, "I wonder who wrote it." And then in addition, Griffin tried to excuse his actions at the Capitol. He told the judge, quote, "There was no signage. There was nothing that indicated I was going into a restricted or unauthorized zone." So Judge McFadden called his excuse, quote, "preposterous." And he told Griffin, quote, "You knew you shouldn't be there, and you continued to do it. I suspect you were prosecuted because you went to great lengths to publicize your actions. Frankly, I think that's completely legitimate. You're not being sentenced for your beliefs about voting fraud." And then the judge mentioned that there's others who also believe what Griffin believes about Trump's election fraud fairy tale. And he said, quote, "They are as mistaken as you are. The difference is they didn't then decide to storm the Capitol building." So McFadden noted that it was rare for January 6 defendants to receive jail time unless they've actually entered the Capitol, which Griffin did not. Nevertheless, he sentenced Griffin to only 14 days in jail, 1 year of probation, 60 hours of community service, and a $3,000 fine and $500 restitution fee. But since Griffin had already served 20 days in jail following his arrest, he's not going to have to go back. And evidently, someone or some group has raised $50,000 for Griffin's legal defense. So that fine and the restitution fee are nothing. They're not going to hurt him whatsoever. So, we're going to be seeing more of this so-called pastor. He should be an inmate and at an asylum, in my opinion. Fingers crossed. But yeah, we'll be seeing him again. He'll be causing more trouble. I'm actually shocked that McFadden actually gave him jail time, but nowhere near enough, especially for all the threats that he made. All right, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. Take care. I'll talk with you soon.